So I have started recording. We'll wait for some time for others to join and then we can start. So this week will be for practicing questions. Okay. Let me share my screen. We can start, I guess. And meanwhile, others can join if they want to. Let me share my screen. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Uh, okay. So this is week 12 uh, for the Joy of Computing using Python course. So, so we already discussed this criteria and how to, like, when you will get a certificate and all those things. Your exam type would be a computer-based exam, right? And you already know that you have to carry a hall ticket and the government like photo identification card. Okay, and the hall ticket will be released, I guess, within some time. Okay, restrictions are you cannot use a physical calculator and you have to use an online calculator, which is something like this. And yeah, something like this. Okay, so even if you are okay, Akshay, just if I missed something, I'm just saying that I'm just reminding you the restrictions and all those things which are there for the exam. So you cannot bring a physical calculator. You have to use a scientific a online calculator like this. Okay, and they come like embedded within your STCS Ion exam interface. Okay, so there is a calculator icon at the top of the interface. You have to just click it. A calculator would appear. Okay. So if you cannot find the calculator icon, just ask the whoever will be your invigilator for the exam, just ask them to show where to find the calculator. Okay, if you have any computation to do. Okay, so yeah, they are supposed to tell you how the interface works. So if you cannot find the calculator icon, like before the exam starts, you just ask the invigilator to just give you a quick like guidance over the UI of the interface, okay, or the examining software. Okay. So exam pattern. So I emailed the course instructor, uh, Professor Iyer, right? So and what he replied me with is that there is no such standard rule that they follow. So each year the question pattern changes. Okay. So um, so you can expect that there will be three types of questions, right? That can be for your case for this course, right? One is MCQ, second one is fill in the blanks, and third one is the actual programming questions. And all those things are possible in the TCS Ion interface. Okay, so they can also run code in the examining software. Okay, but one thing is that there will be no autocomplete, and you cannot import certain libraries that are not that don't come with like though that don't come bundled with the default Python expression. For example, NumPy, Pandas, these libraries you cannot use. Okay, but anyway, the collections library right? The collections library, calendar library, time, date time, these comes bundled with the Python interpreter, right? So you can use them. Okay. Anyway, uh, yeah, you can use them, but like remember which so because there will be no autocomplete or no suggestions as such. There is um, so these type of plugins are not there, right? So that's why you have to remember the exact like the exact path of the objects you want to import. For example, let's say I want date time object, so I have to know its path, right? So import date time or from date time import date time would work for me, right? If I am trying to import date time, something like that. So you have to remember all the paths. So just for some common libraries, you just try to remember the calendar library, time library, these things. Okay, or whichever library you are like you have seen questions in the assignments. Okay. So those libraries you can just brush up. They try to remember the paths that try to remember the path of the data structure or functions that were required for your assignments till now. So you'll try to do assignments from the last year or last not the last year, last run, so that we will have a refresher on the libraries as well. Uh, right. Okay, and the professor replied with that they don't follow any fixed questioning pattern for the final exam, but it's a good idea to solve assignments from the previous year. So I decided to give you a brief, like let's say practice sessions for 2 weeks, like this week and the next week. That next week class will be on 20th. Okay, so just uh, attend that class as well, so that we kind of finish the assignments questions from the previous run. Okay, okay. Okay. Let me just. And okay, one quick question. So, what do you think are the most important libraries for your exams? So, based on the assignment that you have solved so far, can anyone just unmute and reply to this? Okay, someone said calendar, right? Yeah, calendar is one important library. So from there, yeah, date time is also. So I guess you have seen that many of the questions there you're supposed to let's say identify whether a year is a leap year, right? Or which let's say date is there. What is the weekday it is? Let's say whether it's a Monday or whether it's a Wednesday, right? These types of informations you're supposed to uh, compute, right? So you can always compute it with some, let's say, computation from your own from scratch, right? But it is better to use the calendar library. So try to remember the most used functions or objects from those libraries. Okay. For example, how to convert from one time zone to other time zone. Okay. How to, let's say, identify whether a year is a leap year. These type of things. Okay. How to identify, let's say, uh, some date. Let's say, uh, what is the name of the weekday for that particular date. For example, there is a date given. You are supposed to give what is the date name. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, these type of things. Okay. Uh, and date time. You can also see these type of things, that how to add or how many seconds there is from time one to time two. There are, let's say, two timestamps given. You are supposed to compute how many hours passed by between those timestamps, right? So you have to convert them to timestamps first from strings, then take a difference from that time, and then you will get a like time delta object, right? From that time delta, how to compute number of hours. These type of things you just practice a bit so that you remember. Okay. Now let's see some questions from. Let's say we'll focus on the last run questions. Uh, and just so what happens is whenever we are preparing questions for the next run, we usually kept a big enough percentage of questions from the previous run. Okay, so it is like almost 40% of the questions are common from the previous run to the next run assignments, mostly common. Okay, so you will find lot of similar questions for this run as well. But okay, some questions will be different. Let's say they came from earlier runs or new questions that have been introduced. Just let me know if you have already solved those questions, so I will not bother about them. Whenever there is a new questions, you just like tell me that okay, it's a new question. We will try to solve it. Okay. Okay. So let's say assignment 0 is just the requirement or prerequisite assignment, right? So it basically like test your general knowledge thing that okay whether you can compute the area of a circle, these type of things, right? So it's basically all about the prerequisite stuff that okay for learning Python you need to know basic mathematics, basic geometry, these type of things, right? Yeah. So this is nothing. So you will not get any questions from the practice assignment 0. Okay. So these type of questions are very uncommon. So to come in the exam. Let's say the total number of factors, let's say total number of factors any prime number has, right? So prime number doesn't have any factors, right? Because those are prime, it will be 0 or actually 1. So because that prime number itself is a factor of itself, right? It will be 1. Uh, okay, so let's start with week 1. So quiz 1 and then there will be a, no. So there is no programming assignment because it was a scratch, it was from scratch, right? And try to remember the just revisit my live session from the scratch and try to remember what those blocks and those things mean, right? Or how to create a subroutine. Yeah, yeah, 1 is also a factor prime number. Yeah, 1 and that prime, so it will be 2, I guess. It will be 2. Yeah, good catch. Uh, okay. Uh, Now assignment for assignment for week 1. Okay, let's see. So, um, so which of the following best defines a variable in programming? So what is it? A constant. So these type of questions you can expect for the first half of the question. Okay, question paper. So because the question will be in sorted in terms of weeks. Okay, so at the beginning you can expect that questions from variable naming, how to name a class, how to name a variable, how to define a function, these type of questions, or how or which is a correct definition of a function, these type of question. Let's say there are 3 definitions or 4 definitions, you have to, or let's say there are 3 definitions and you have to say which, let's say which definitions are correct. Let's say A1 is correct, 1 and 2 is correct, 2 is correct, and none of them are correct, right? These type of questions may come. So I guess if you have remembered the syntax and if you have practiced uh, enough, then those questions are easy. So let's say what is a valid variable definition, right? You cannot name a variable max, right? Even if you name it, then you lose the capability of the max function. So one thing is Python can allow you to name a variable as max, okay? But then whenever you are below the, like after defining that max variable, whenever you are trying to call the max function on a list, that would trigger an error. Okay, because the binding for max has been replaced with the binding for the variable. Okay, so because Python is an interpreter, right? It's not a compiler. So see, this type of differences you should remember by heart. Like Python is an interpreted language. So when until it gets an error, it doesn't bother about it. Okay. So at the beginning, let's say I name a variable as max. And at the last line of the program, I have used the max function to compute maximum from a list. Okay. So the program will go normally until it gets to the max function call. Because now it is confused that, okay, which max to use, the variable max or the function max, right? In that case, it will trigger an error that, okay, in my context, the max has been replaced with the variable. So I don't know whether it's a variable or a function. So I assume it's a variable. So we cannot call a variable on a list. So it will get an error, right? But for C, because it's a strongly typed language and it's a compiled language, right? It's a compiled language for C. So in that case, you will get an error whenever you are compiling that, okay, you cannot use that max as a name. Or let's say that get ch call in C, right? You cannot have a variable named get ch. Okay. In the compile time, you'll get an error. But for Python, it is possible that because it's an interpreted language. Okay, same for any function call, any special keywords, everything can be named, everything is allowed to have have a variable name, but it is better not to name variables equivalent to, let's say, keywords or function names. Okay. Okay. Now, so next, so a constant value that cannot be changed during program execution, a named storage location that can hold varying data during program execution, a operation that performs arithmetic calculation on data. No, a a reserved word is used to define function or method in a program. So it will be this, a named storage location that can have varying data during program execution, right? Okay. Now humans easily get bored doing a repetitive job. However, computers are masters of iteration. In programming, we get a control structure that allows a set of instructions to be executed repeatedly based on condition. It enables automating repetitive tasks by iterating through a block of code until a specific condition is met for for a defined number of times. What is this control structure? It's very easy, right? It's a loop. Fine. So these type of things you can expect. So let's say in let's say it's not loop. Let's say when it kind of says these things that whenever whenever there is a decision you have to make in your program, which construct you will be using, right? For Python, it should be always if else blocks, right? Um, right. But because what if you, let's say there can be questions, the options like switch, but switch doesn't exist in Python. So you should not mix your let's say C code and Python code. Okay, so there will be always confusing options like switch, if else, okay, if else ladder, these kind of things. But let's say they mentioned, particularly mentioned that you have to make a binary decision. So there can be only two options, right? Let's say whether it's a true or a false thing. So then a if else block would only be the correct answer. And if else ladder would not, right? If else ladder would be a suboptimal answer because that's for generic use case, right? For if you have multiple cases for which you want to run different blocks, then an if else ladder would work. Okay. So just try to focus on those keywords that, okay, what exactly I am trying to do so that which construct to use. So let's say if it is a binary decision, you are supposed to use a if else block. Okay. Okay. Now they can also mention that it's a uh, so there can be multiple values for a particular variable. For each variable, for each value you are supposed to execute a different piece of code. Then which type of programming structure you would use? And let's say there are four programming structures are there. Switch is also there. You can, so they can have these kinds of questions as well. So that is a valid or valid switch block as well. So you get confused and tick on the switch, right? But that's not correct. So you are supposed to use the if else ladder because Python doesn't have a switch block. Okay. Now, the third question, programming logic is different from programming logic is different from programming language. Programming languages are many, but programming logic almost remains the same across all programming. Which of the following is a which of the following is programming logic? This is the language. This is a language. This is a language. It's none of the above. It's everything is a language. But can you give an example of a programming logic? So, so can you give a valid option here, which would be a programming logic, right? So let's say there is loop there. Loop is a programming logic. So loop exists in all the language. So from the above definition, it is clear, right? Which things are common for all the languages. For example, variable. Variable is a programming logic. Okay. So if there is a option instead of none of the above, there is a variable, right? Option. Then you should tick the variable. You should not get confused like on those things, right? So variable, loop, decision making, control flow, right? These type of things. So jump statement, break statements. These all these things comes under control flow. Okay. So if there is an option called control flow, you should check that option. Okay. Or you can also do strategies like striking options out, right? So whenever you are confused, you try to strike options out from the list of options, right? For example, Python is a language. I know that okay, it should not be that one. C is a language. I know that it should not be that one. C++ is also a language, so it should not be my answer. So let's say whichever option is there remaining, that should be the correct answer. These type of approaches you can also take if you, but that fails when there are two options which are very close to each other. Okay, so like, be cautious about those type of questions. Oh, sorry. Okay, now next question. Open source software, unlike proprietary software, is computer software developed through public collaborative efforts and made freely available to the public. Which of the following programming languages is or are open source? So Java, Python, Fortran, Perl. I guess all of them are open source. Okay, so it's a multiple select question. They can check all of them. So can anyone name a software which is closed source? Can anyone just tell me if let's say programming language itself, which is closed source or which is managed by one single company, and you cannot modify their source code or add libraries, right? Yeah, negative markings should so they that these things, negative markings and these things will be mentioned uh, in the in the like in the instruction page of the like test. Okay, so just read the instructions before the test. There will specifically mention how much negative marking is there, but generally there will be no negative marking as far as I know. Okay, but anyway, like read the instructions carefully before you start the exam. There they will clearly mention if there is a negative marking for some section. Let's say section 1 doesn't have any negative marking, but section C has. These things are clearly mentioned during the instruction page of the exam. Okay. So now can anyone tell me a positive like not sorry, can anyone tell me a negative option of this, that okay, a language that is not open source and you all know it. So many of you know it. Some of you might not have heard of it till now, but if you are within first or second year of BTech, then you all know it, right? That which language is a closed source language. Or let's say not language. You can even tell me a software that is closed source, that you cannot modify the software. You can only use it. Passing criteria, I'll wait. Go to this slide. You have all the material here. I'll just share the link. Passing criteria and everything. So these are the criteria. Okay, so you have 25% from the average of 8 based assignments from all 12. Okay, and 75 from the test itself. And the final score will be like summation of those. And the criteria would be assignment score should be greater than 10 out of 25 and 10% out of 25%, and exam score should be greater than 30% from the rest of the 75%, right? If one of the criteria doesn't meet, but even if, see, summing them is total 40%, right? Let's say you scored 40% over the proctored exam, but you didn't submit the assignment, then you will not get the certificate. Okay, you have to meet these two criteria, and then if you get more than 40% marks in the final score, then you will get a certificate. Okay, and it's not that hard, right? So if you have submitted the assignments and getting 35% from rest of the 75% is easy. Okay, not that hard. Given that this is a basic course. Okay, someone has wrote something. How many bits will be given? Yeah, Windows. Yeah. Windows. Vikram is right. So Windows is a software uh, which is closed source. You cannot modify the source code, but Linux is not, right? For example, in terms of languages, and one of the languages I can think of is MATLAB. MATLAB is a closed source language. You cannot like add your own libraries. Okay, MathWorks handles everything. Okay. Now, how many bits will be given? I didn't understand this question. Can you I cannot see your name, I can see your roll number. Can you elaborate on this? So how many bits will be given? Okay, so you write, meanwhile you can go to the next question. Okay. So a negative answer which is not open source can be MATLAB. Okay. Uh, okay. So knowing how to write a piece of code could help us get things done fast. Okay, choose the area where you can implement coding. See, physics, mathematics, economics, business, everything. So tell me some area where you cannot involve coding, the general coding. So it's not like you cannot involve AI. Let's say they mentioned you cannot use AI. Okay, general coding primitives. What is the area where you cannot implement something with coding? So these everything. So physics, mathematics, economics, business and sales. So most of the time we use coding to, let's say, calculate percentages, calculate so do some repetitive tasks like these, right? So all of the cases are correct. But can anyone tell me, or anyone just write it in the chat, which is an area that you cannot use coding unless you go for AI? So we just strike out AI for now. What's the model of the paper? How many sections of this? So yeah, as I said, right. So we don't know how many sections will be there, but you can expect three type of questions. So you can go here and see what the instructor replied with to my mail. Okay. So this is what he replied with. So there is no such rule for setting up the questions for the final exam. So they just change the pattern like in every run. Okay, so but they have said, okay, you can expect three type of questions: MCQ, MSQ, fill in the blanks, and actual coding questions. Okay, but sections, like I like frankly I didn't know. Okay, so but anyway, like okay, share the PPT. Wait. So in the PPT, you will find all the necessary informations for which things to carry, like, and what is the criteria and all. Okay, and which are not like restricted things like calculators and everything. Uh, okay. Oh, wait. Where is the, yeah. Now next question. So a area where coding is not applicable is, let's say, arts. Okay, any type of art form. For example, drawing. For example, singing. Right? These things you cannot implement using regular code. Okay, regular coding constructs, regular coding uh, like idea, like, let's say, concepts. You can like many of the times AI is used for those type of things, right? So except AI, you cannot write a piece of code that generate, let's say, poems. Okay, okay. So problem introduction. What is it? So this is some problem. Okay, these type of questions you can expect. See. So let's just see what they describes. So the provided image depicts a scene from presenting featuring the famous cat at scratch attempting to play football with look, so some ball distinguished as a volleyball. Okay, boomerang ball distinguished as a volleyball. The unexpected return of the ball leads to humorous outcome. Okay, so that means whenever you kick the ball, it will come back to the cat. Okay, that's a boomerang ball. Accompanying is the set of code blocks that achieve what is stated above, not necessarily in sequence of execution. Not necessarily sequence of execution means, so uh, whichever code block you click, right, that executes for Scratch. So let's say I click, this is the function, so it cannot execute by its own. So I have to click this, right? Then only it executes. So when I received a ball kick, the boomerang function will get called, and then let's say something broadcast ball has hit cat's face, so it's a message that is getting broadcasted. Okay, and these are rotate, all those functions we'll see. Okay, and so not necessarily in the sequence of execution, uh, answer the questions that follow. Okay, so what is the information we have? We have this boomerang function. What it does, see, repeat 2 times, move 10 steps, turn 15 degree, wait 1 second, move 75 steps, 1 second, turn 15 degree, move, wait 1 second, 65 degree. So how much degree it moves? 10 degree, 70, sorry, 10 degree, 15 degree, 15, 30 degree, and then 95 degree, 85 degree, and then 90 degree, right? So total it gets, so I guess it is something like this. So it's goes up and then goes down. Okay, this type of move, and then here it returns. Okay, so when I receive ball kick, boomerang, okay, okay. Rotate function is this. Repeat 90 degree rotation. Define block name kick. Move 10 steps. Wait 1 second. Turn 15 degree to the right. So that means it's the kick animation. Wait and turn. Then that means the cat would turn right and then turn left. That would kind of animate the kick. Okay. And then when I receive ball has hit cat's face, rotate. So that means after the ball hits the cat, okay, it would hit like this. So it will kick here, it will hit it here. So the cat would rotate. That's the logic. So that's how you would read the whole code. Okay. So the animation would look like this. The cat will come forward, I guess. Yeah, it'll see block name kick. That means it will come forward, kick the ball. The ball would rotate and hit it in the face. The cat would rotate after that. That's the whole animation it's saying. Okay. Okay. The block of code displayed here is meant for the cat. What is the functionality of this code? 10 steps, 1 second, turn right, 1 second, move 10 steps, wait, turn this. So it brings the ball closer to the cat. It makes the cat appear like kicking the ball. It makes the cat tumble and rotate. The code throws an error. The code, this one, right? It brings the ball closer to the cat, or it makes so here it is from the kick animation. Okay, 10 steps. That means here till here. It makes the cat appear like kicking the ball. This one should be correct. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's a wrong answer set, because you see these two these two rotations are actually for kicking the ball. Okay. I have to see anyway. Now next question. But this is also correct actually. So it brings the ball closer to the cat because it is going forward, right? So two options are correct actually here. One is it appears like the cat is kicking the ball, and the second one is it brings the ball closer to the cat, or it brings the cat closer to the ball. Okay. Now the block of code displayed here makes the cat rotate out of impact from boomerang ball. How many complete rotations does this make? Complete rotations means 360-degree. Okay. So 4 times, repeat 3 times. So it is total 12 times. 12 times 90-degree. That means 490 degrees would get you a complete rotation. Okay. So that means it will rotate 3 times. Okay. So the cat would rotate 3 times after it get hit by the ball. Yeah, 3 times. The block of code displayed here makes the cat rotate out of impact from one angle. How many loops are there in total? So total there are 12 loops. Oh no, 12 repetitions of the code, but there are 2 loops. Repeat two, one, repeat two. Okay, repeat 3 times. This loop repeats 4 times. So yeah, these type of keywords you should always keep in mind. So how many total iterations if there is inter in spite of loops, if there are iterations, then you can say it's a 12-time iteration of like these two code blocks. Okay. But how many loops are there? There are 2 loops. One is outer loop, one is inner loop. Okay. The block of code displayed here is meant for the ball. How many loops are there in the ball? So one loop, yeah, only one loop, because there are, so this repeat statement is the loop. Okay. So one thing I can see from here is repeat Q5. I'll repeat it. So one thing I can see from here is you should just open up Scratch. I'll open up Scratch and try to identify all the blocks. Okay, so it should not be the case that you know what a particular block mean. Okay. So you should at least identify which block means what thing, so that whenever you are reading the scratch code, you know what the whole so you know what the whole block do, but you if you don't know what a specific code block is doing, so it's sometimes hard to answer these type of questions. Okay, we'll open up scratch. Wait. So it's one. No, the block of code displayed here is meant for the ball. The value beside repeat would have been 1 instead of 2. Select all the statements that explain the situation. So the ball would not have returned to cat. Removing the loop from code would have made no difference to the result. The ball would have left the ball would have left its original position. The code would throw an error. So these two, no difference in the result. Uh, no. See, the ball would not have returned to the cat. Okay, but ball would not have left its no. Even the loop from the code would have made no difference to the result. So this one should not be there, right? The ball would not have returned to the cat. This should be only the answer. This is not the answer. Because if it returned, then this is incorrect. Then only this removing the loop from the code would have no difference in the result. This is not correct. Right? Because it would not return to the cat, so it will not hit the cat, and the cat would not rotate. Right? These things will not have. So the whole execution process get hampered. Okay. So this is a wrong question set. So whenever you are setting answers, right, these type of errors are always there. Okay, so we try to make, so whenever let's say I'm a regular TA, I try to give as much as effort I can give to not make these type of mistakes. But anyway, sometimes they slip, right? So this is a wrong set. Okay, so the ball would not have returned to the cat. This one should be correct. Okay, now question 5. So this is the last question. Question 5. Oh, this one. So knowing how to write a piece of code could help us get things done fast. Choose the area where you can implement coding. So physics, you can implement coding in, let's say, solving differential equations and all, right? There are methods like, let's say, Newton-Raphson, Raouz-Kutta, these type of methods are there, right? So you can always use programming to automate that looping part until you get to significant error margin. So let's say you want your error to be less than 0.001. Okay. So you can automate the calculation in a loop until you get that error, that error below 0.001, you just repeat the computation, right? So physics, you can apply programming. Okay. Mathematics, right? That is, let's say, tables, computing tables, or multiplying two big numbers, right? You can always use a computer, and you can always use a programming language to automate these things, right? Economics, so economics, you can compute the growth rate of a particular, let's say, product you are selling, right? So how much growth you can achieve for the next, so you can predict how much growth you can achieve for the next quarter, right? So economics, we hugely apply programming for, let's say, computing, like let's say these type of growth rates and all those things. So how much, so knowing this, you can kind of change your like price for the product. So which price would be best for the market? These type of computations always, like, they are also so people also survey the market to come up with those type of estimates. But anyway, they usually use programming to automate stuffs. Okay, small scale business, you can always, let's say, use HTML, CSS, JavaScript to write your website, right? Those are also programming languages. So a piece of code can also help a small scale business to have their own website, have their own, let's say, online ordering service like this. Okay, so one area that you cannot use programming is, let's say, arts, or whenever you are generating content which machines are not good at generating. For example, poems, images. Okay, but anyway, still it's a controversial topic because okay, AI is a program which can generate these things. Okay, but like if you leave AI out of the picture, then obviously you cannot do these type of things with programs, with general programs, right? That you write. Okay, so just repeated question 5. Anyway, so week 1 questions are these type of things. So what we understand from here is that knowing your syntax, where to use which code block, let's say if else, or let's say whether when I will be using a loop for let's say uh, for Scratch, right? Which blocks means what thing. So let's open up Scratch and see if I have that here. Oh, I don't have it here. Let's open up in the online editor. Let's see, it is here, Scratch on. Yeah, okay. So these are for motions, right? This is for turn. So see, this is what happens. It turns for 15 degree. Okay. So if I change its value to let's say 90 degree, if I click, it will rotate 90 degrees. Okay. So go to see this, go to X to Y. Okay. So go to random position. It goes to random position. Okay. And now go to XY means for this whole canvas, right? This, let's say what is 0 0. Let's write it 0 0. So this is the middle of the screen is 0 0. So let's say I want to go 10 steps to the top, right? So I will write here 10, and if I click on this, now it goes 10, like 10 units at the Y direction and 0 units in the X direction. You get it, right? So if I click again, oh, it's not moving because this code block, what it does, it places the character at 0 comma 10. If it is 100, see, it's at the 0 comma 100 position. If I even, let's say if I am doing a loop, right, and within that loop I have this instruction, some of you may get confused and write it, okay, now the after 10 loops it can reach to 1000, 0 comma 1000, right? But it's not true, because even if you are running this in a loop, every time the character gets placed at the 0 comma 100 position. It's not like accumulating. Okay, but move move is accumulating. See, if I run 10 times this move instruction, it will accumulate. Okay, so 10 times 10 means 100 steps you are going. Okay, point in direction 90 degrees. So this is, see, this is the, so this is the zeroth. So you know these type of things. So this is the zeroth direction. Y direction is the 0. Okay, so if I click here, see it, 0 is this. Now 90 degree is from here. This is 90 degree. This is 180 degree. This is, sorry, this is minus 90 degree, and this is again 0 degree. Okay, so if I try to look here, it will look in the X direction. Okay, so some of you may, if you don't know this, then you can easily get confused that okay, this is the 0 degree, half one is the 90 degree, right? That's it. That is how we perceive angles in mathematics, right? The line which is parallel to X axis is 0 degree, right? But here it is different. So the line parallel to Y axis is 0 degree. This is 0 degree. This is 90 degree. Okay. Point towards mouse pointer. So if I point towards my mouse pointer is at the left side of the screen. So if I click, see, now it points to my, see, this is the pointing direction. Okay. Okay. Change X by 10. So it is accumulating. It is adding or changing x by 10. If I am having minus value here, minus 10, then it will try to reduce it. Okay. Say hi. So these are very common, right? Next. So just try to like go over all those things. So these are on looks. Say hi for 2 seconds. Okay. Or say hello for 2 seconds. Say hi. Think for 2 seconds. These type of things you can just see and know, right? But anyway, so this is the expression. So if you want to show these positions, you can check them and it will be showed in the canvas. Okay, now looks, these are all looks. So hide, this is hide, this is so, hide, so, okay. Clear graphics bits anyway. Sound, play sound, start sound, stop all sounds, change set clear sound effect, change volume by -10, set volume to 100%, volume. So you can also have the volume here. How much volume you want to set. So you cannot set it here, I guess. No, you can change it from here. Change volume by minus. Events. When clicked. So whenever there is a click event on something, okay, let's say you click on the character, then only it starts moving. You can use this block. Okay. So just go through. So open up Scratch in your machine and try to go through all the blocks. Okay. So that whenever you see a code, let's say a code block, you don't get confused. So forever is basically infinite loop. Okay. If else, wait until means whenever, wait until this is true. Some variable gets, let's say, some value. Wait until x equal to 3. Repeat until x. So these are basically while and do while loops. So this is while loop. Repeat until something. So this is while loop. But wait until is like wait until x becomes 3. Okay. These type of things. Stop everything. These things. Okay. Sensing. Touching mouse pointer. So let's see. Touching mouse pointer is false. So let's touching mouse pointer. I can say hello. Oh no, it's an if else block. Okay, so events. Yeah, this right. If it is touching the mouse pointer, then say something. Let's say I want to say hello. Okay, so I can run it. Oh, so I have to also make this thing in a loop. So I have to loop forever, right? Try to check it multiple times. Whenever I'm touching this, it should say hello. So in that case, I have to loop forever. Okay. And then if I play this, does it say anything? Wait, touching, no, touching mouse pointer, stop, run it, hello, right? Whenever let's say I'm not touching it now. Okay, I have to also clear maybe after it says hello, or we can use the say hello for 2 seconds instead of this. Say say hello for 2 seconds, and then it the clear the message, right? Okay, so just remove this, run this. Yeah, now again 2 seconds gone. Okay, so these type of things, sound events. Okay, stop all, okay, touching these things. So sensing, you now know that touching means touching color. So whenever I touch this color in the canvas, whenever I touch this color in the canvas, it will set an true. So these sensing blocks, so these blocks can be only used in if else blocks. Okay, whenever there is a decision. Okay, so just go through them once. Operators, anything that you can perform, and or not, all the things, right? Join, letter one. So this is letter one of apple is, I guess, apple. A. Okay, so let's see A. So the indexing starts from 1. So indexing starts from 1. So if I give letter 2, it should be P. Okay, now if I give something like 10, which is not possible, it should give nothing. Okay, if I give, let's say, -1, -1 is not possible, so I cannot enter -1. Okay, so if there is an option that gives you -1 because they want to confuse you with Python's like how Python handles strings. So -1 is a valid index for a character from a string, right? In Python, it will go from the backward minus indexes, but for Scratch it is not possible. So you cannot. I cannot even write minus here. Okay, it is I'm tapping minus, but it's not reflecting. Okay, so only positive indexes are possible for slicing strings in Scratch, and if you go beyond the string limit, it will give you an empty character. Okay, it will not give you an error. So know this also. Okay, now this contains a this type of mod, round, absolute, variables. You can also name, have variables, set their value, change their value, show variable. Okay, show variable in the canvas, hide variable from the canvas, these type of things. Okay, now my block. So make a block is basically the function. So add an input, add an input number or text, add an input boolean, add a label. So add a label means nothing, I guess. Okay, but you can add different variables. Let's say block name. Now you have a text input, a boolean input, another text input. Okay, add a label means this is nothing, I guess. Okay, add label is nothing. So label you cannot have a kind of like effect on the computation. So you can name the block. You can have these type of parameters that you want to pass. Okay, so try to implement some functions, some small functions, so that you remember how to make a block, like, what is the parameters, how to use the parameters within the function, these type of things. Okay, okay. Now for the week one, we are set. So I think if you just go with this, the from your basic understanding of how programming languages work, how what is the syntax of Python, and how Scratch blocks works, would be sufficient for answering week one's questions. Okay, and you can expect these three type of questions from week one: MCQ, MSQ, and these type of questions, that what this block means or what this piece of code does, or if I change this code, what will be the effect on the animation. Okay, okay. Now week two. So from week two, you are introduced to Python construct, right? Like loops, everything, if else. Let's go for, so there are multiple assignments. So we'll try to cover, let's say we'll try to cover half of the assignments today, and in the 20th we have another extra class. In that class we will go for the other half of the assignments. Okay, for the last run. Yes, we will try to go it, like, try to do it quickly now. So as per our records, we sorry, at any given point during program's execution, what value is held within a variable. So at any given point during a program execution, what value is held within a variable. So the value it was initially assigned when it was created, the sum of all values that have been assigned to it, the most recent value that is assigned to it, the average of, so the most recent value. So for Python, the values get replaced, right? So whenever you are reassigning a variable, the earlier value gets replaced with the newer value. Okay, and see this type of things. It's simple code like screenshot, and then you are supposed to answer the output. Okay, so value input value. So the value is this input. So this is a string. Okay, input, and this is also a string. If the value is 25, what will be the output? Can anyone try to answer this? Oh, sorry. The answers are here in below. So because don't write. So anyway, because it is both of them are string, so this input function itself takes strings, right? Unless you cast it to other data types. For example, let's say I cast it to integer or float, any other data type. Given the string is valid for casting, so I cannot cast hello to integer. It will give you an error. Okay, but let's say the value is 25, I can cast it safely to an integer. Okay, but in this case, because they have not cast it to any other data, it is string. The a is also string, so the output would be the value is 25, and there is this space as well, so there will be a space before 25. Okay, so yeah, okay. And this try to see what this plus operator does for all data types. For example, let's say for strings, they concatenate, right? The plus operator concatenate. But for string, the minus operator is not defined. So if you are doing so, they can give you questions like this. Let's say uh, value. So let's say I am in Delhi, and then there is a string called Delhi, and then A is I am Delhi, B is Delhi. Okay, and they give what is the output for A minus B. And now if you write I am, that's a wrong answer because this minus operator is not defined. So plus gives concatenation, but minus doesn't give difference. Okay, you just should be clear about these type of things. Okay, which operator is defined, how it is defined for each data type, that should be clear. Just try to practice some addition, subtractions, all those things, and see which errors you get. For string, you will get, and this error, this minus operator is not defined for strings. Okay. So what are the possible loop values that can be specified in range argument for a loop in Python, and why are these values used? Integer representing the starting and ending point of the loop, allowing iteration through specific range of numbers. Okay, floating point numbers cannot be given. Okay, string cannot be given. Tuples allowing iteration through multiple sequence. Nah, this first one. Only integers that represent starting and ending of a loop, and you can also give the skip, a skip. Let's say I want to skip one element and go to the, let's say I only want to print the, or only want to loop the odd numbers. So I can start from 1 and skip by 2. So 1, then it will come 3. And the definition would be like 1 to 100, comma 2, right? So 1 and then 2 skips go to 3, then 2 skips go to 5, something like this. Okay, and remember that for range operator, for uh, the range, the starting is inclusive, the ending is exclusive, right? So you cannot have the last value as the loop's output. So if the last value is 10, then it will only loop till 9. Okay, so you can be asked that there is a let's say there is a loop, let's say for I in range 2 comma 100 comma 2, how many iterations you would see? Or let's say there is a print high, how many times high will be printed, right? So it will not go up till hundreds, it will go up to 98, and then you count how many possible values are there. Okay, so let's say if the maximum value is 20, it will go till like 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 18. 20 it will not touch. Okay, Okay, so what values can be used in in argument of while loop in Python? Okay, okay. What values can be used in argument of while loop in Python, and why are these values used? So in while loop you can only have a Boolean variable. Okay, so Boolean variable you can have them as as directly as a variable or as a result of some comparison. And what are the comparators that are available? It's less than equal to, greater than equal to, right? As well as the logical operators, so and or not, these things. So if you have any equation that generates a boolean can be placed within a while loop. Okay. So what they are saying, so boolean expression or condition enabling the loop executes until the condition becomes false. So yeah, this one is correct. Okay. Now, what types of conditional entries can be used in Python if statement, and why are these entries used? So conditional is see the same thing, the boolean expressions. Anything that results to a true, false, or boolean result can be placed in an if else block. Okay. Now let's consider this. Considering the following code snippet, n equal to int input, enter a number for I equal to 1 to n, print n. Okay, n comma x comma I is equal to n comma I. Okay, so what does the code do? So see, n is, let's say I enter n equal to 5. So 5 comma x comma I is from 1 to 10 because it's 11. So I equal to 1 to 10, right? It will go from 1, end at 10. So that means 5 times 1 is equal to, so this is actually times, I guess. X, they are representing x as times. Is equal to 5 times. So 5 multiplied with I. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So it will basically print the table of 5. Okay. Yeah. So it will print the multiplication table of n from 1 to 10. Okay. Now consider the following code snippet, number something, okay, print I less than 10. Yeah, it does the same thing. It still goes from 1 to 10. Say here is this equal to, right? So from 1 to 10 it will loop, and after it becomes 11 it will break, right? Okay, so see this is some error, I guess. So this indentation should be here. Okay, so whenever might have like taken the screenshot from let's say they taken the screenshot from a document not from like some py file or something. So maybe they have placed some, or there is some formatting issue. Okay, so the indentation should be same as this print statement. Otherwise, it will get an indentation error. Okay, okay. So number integer input integer number result one count is less than number counter time result. So it will basically compute the factorial, I guess. Yeah. So what it does, it's a multiple select question. So it takes input from the user and then uh, computes the factorial of it. So 1 till that number, 1 to n. Okay. A integrated development environment is a software application that provides comprehensive facilities to computer programmers for software development. Which of the following are IDs? PyCharm ID, Spider ID, Visual Studio Code. Uh, so C# is a language. Okay, so these things are ID. Yeah, you can always go with the striking out options method, right? That okay, I know that C# is a language, so it is not an ID, something like this. And everything that is uh, like remaining options for the multiple select questions can be correct. You can again think, okay, now VS Code, I write VS Code, I write programs in VS Code, so that's also an ID, right? So ID is basically wherever you have options for compiling and running the code and debugging the code. If these three facilities are there, then it's an IDE. Okay. Okay, last question. A Python distribution is a software bundle which contains Python interpreter and the standard libraries. What is Anaconda being discussed in this lecture? A species of snake, a type of programming language, and integrated development, a Python distribution for scientific computing and data science. Yeah, so Anaconda is basically a kind of, you can say this, a Python distribution for scientific computing and data science. Okay. So it comes pre-bundled with all the necessary libraries for data science. For example, NumPy, Pandas. These libraries are already there for this distribution, Anaconda distribution. Okay. But let's say if instead of Anaconda, if there is Conda, right? Then it's a package manager. So Conda is a package manager, but Anaconda is basically a Python distribution that already comes pre-built or pre-bundled with libraries that are required for data science and scientific computing. For example, NumPy, it is heavily used for scientific computing. Data science, Pandas, Matplotlib, these libraries are heavily used for data science, right? So the Anaconda distribution already comes pre-bundled with those libraries. Okay. Anaconda doesn't have any IDE. It comes with lot of IDs, like PyCharm, PyCharm, or let's say Spider. These IDs are there in the Anaconda's navigation page. Okay, but that doesn't mean the Anaconda is an IDE, right? It is a Python distribution that also comes, let's say, pre-installed libraries, right? It also install libraries with it. So not libraries, IDs with it. Okay. Similarly, Miniconda is there. Okay. Miniconda is similarly a Python distribution that doesn't come with any library, but it comes with the Conda package manager. So you can easily pull any library from the Conda's like the repository from Conda. Okay. Okay. Let's go to week 3. No, sorry. We have the programming assignments for week 2 as well. So accept two positives. So these are very simple codes, right? So you are supposed to compute the modulus of the two numbers. So you try to read the program, read the question, identify what you have to do, and then just, so let's say here it is saying the remainder. You are trying to compute the remainder. Okay. So accept two positive numbers n and m as input. There are two cases to consider. If m is less than n, then print m out. If m is greater than n, subtract n from n, all the difference m1. M1 is greater than n, then subtract n from. So this is basically computing GCD, I guess. Okay, greatest common divisor or something. Yeah. Keep doing this operation until you reach a value k such that mk is less than n. You have to print the value mk as output. Okay, so basically uh, m and n. This is GCD. Okay, let's compute GCD of these two. So anyway, so you can easily implement it with a loop. Even if it is not a GCD, what you have to do, you can just swap the variables and use the same logic in a loop until the the difference value mk, okay, is less than m, and whenever it reaches this condition, you just break and print the mk as output. Okay, so this is some garbage code. It's not remainder. Okay. Now programming with assignment 2. So here there's an accept three positive integers as input and check if they form three sides of a triangle. So you have to just check whether a square is equal to b square plus c square. Okay. If any combination of these three You can go with a, let's say, a brute force approach, and there can be, like, when you are considering let's say the variable one as the 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 bigger arm, right? The, let's say this. So let's say if I am considering 8 as a, so I will compute a square is equal to 1 square plus 5 square, and if they are same, then I will say okay, it's a valid triangle, otherwise it's not. Okay. For example, here you see is 13, right? 13 square is equal to 12 square plus 5 square. Okay. So it is so you can also even if you don't go with a brute force approach, what you can do, you can take the biggest value from all three of the given values and then take that as an a. Okay. So for all the cases, the biggest arm would be the a. Okay, a of the triangle. For this case, this value will be a. Okay. So and see whether this biggest value square is equal to the sum of square of these two values. If it is matching, then fine, otherwise not. So here they have gone with a brute force approach. The code that is given here, they have gone with a brute force approach. Okay, they have taken all possible combination of these three values in that equation, right? And then if it is true, and they are ORing it, right? So if any of the three possibilities are true, it is yes, otherwise it is no. Now programming assignment 3. So accept a string as input. Your task is to determine if the input string is valid password or not. For a string to be valid password, it must satisfy all the conditions given below. It should be at least 8 character, at most 32 characters. So first check would be this one. So check one is the length of the password should be from 8 to 32. It should start with an uppercase or a lowercase letter. It should start with an upper. So that means what? That means it should not start with the numeric, right? So it should not start with one. It should only start with A, B, anything, capital A, something like this. So you can just slice the first character and see whether it's a numeric. If it is a numeric, then that check two failed. Okay. And if it is an alpha, then so if it's a letter, valid letter, comes from, like, that is valid from A to small, like small a to small z, small or let's say any symbols would also work, I guess. Let's see. So no, it starts with a letter. So that means it is from small a to small z, capital A to capital Z. If it is within this set of characters, then it's check 2 is passed. Check 3. It should not have any of these characters. So just in a loop, what you can do, you can in a loop, you can see whether the string has any of these character in it. So with in operator, right? So let's say this backslash in the string. If it is true, then it failed. It should not have those things. Okay. And it should not have any space. So with all these characters, you can also include space as the character. So what is the character that should not be there? Backslash, forward slash, equal to single quotation, double quotation, and space. So you can have these characters in a list and just loop and check whether any of them are there. If it is there, just like assign check 3 is equal to false and break out of the loop. If any of the characters are found in the password, it will assign check 3 as false, break out of the loop, and just let's say in the last if condition, you can say check 1 and check 2 and check 3. If all the things satisfy true, then only print okay, it's a valid password, or otherwise it's not. Okay, and then see here they are going with the brute force approach. So they are checking each invalid character one by one. So one of the like, I guess, efficient way of doing this is placing this thing as a list. But okay, there can be, there can be, you see, it could not have any character not in the list of characters to avoid. See, also read this type of instructions. Okay, don't miss these things. So they are saying because until week 2 you are not introduced to lists, so even if you know it, you are discouraged to use that. So if you use the list, 1 marks will be deducted. Okay. So don't use list in if this type of let's say warnings are mentioned. Now week 3. Yeah. So as far as like until now, what we see, what is the pattern? So there can be these type of questions a lot. So a screenshot, and then you are supposed to tell what will be the output. Okay. Let's just go with a like rapid random manner. Okay. So see, week 3, there are a lot of screenshots, and you are supposed to write the output or kind of guess the output. Okay, let's go with this. Import random. So the random library is imported. So you should know how to generate a random number. What does random.random do, and what does random.randint do? Okay, these things you should remember. So generate evolution binary string, mutation probability 0.1, evolved string is empty for now. For bit in binary string, if random number is less than the mutation probability, then evolve string plus equal to 1 if bit is equal to 0, else 0. So that means what? With 0.1 probability, the bit gets flipped. So if it is 1, it becomes 0. If it is 0, it becomes 1. Okay. Otherwise, it's copied from the binary string. So now with 0 parts, so what would be the initial string if it is 0, 0, 0, 0? What will be the results? It will be 0%, 1, 0.1. So how many strings are there? How many bits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So by probability, 1 bit will be changed. Okay. So see, a string with some ones and some zeros. So they have not, so there can be cases where none of them gets changed. Okay. Okay. So but by, let's say, if you run this code multiple times and take an average of how many bits are 1 after the evolution, you will get a value close to approximating 1. Okay. So if you run the code infinite amount of times, then it will approach 1. So statistically, 1 bit will be changed because the probability is 0.1 and the number of bits are 10, right? So statistically, 1 bit will change, but there can be cases when no bits gets changed. Okay, or when 2 bits get changed. So the safe answer would be a string with ones and zeros. So it will not be all zeros all the time. It will not be all ones all the time. It will be something in between. Okay. Now, if there is an option called 0.1, so 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 10 times, okay, these type of things, then that is also a correct answer. So if that's in multiple select questions, you should check that. That's a valid output of this code. Okay. So that means in that bit, the random number that is generated is below 0.1. Okay. Now consider the following code snippet. Numbers, input, enter number of elements, take input, append. So it is appending the numbers in a numbers list, sum, and then take the average, sum, average. So what does it do? It computes, take like elements from the user, computes the sum, creates the average. Okay, so these are standard codes. Let's see this part, this random. So for week 3, I guess this random library is important. Okay, try to do some practice on the random number generation code. So if you want to generate a number from 0 to 1, what would be the code? Random.random or random.randn would also give you the same output. But if you want to generate a random number which is within one random integer number which is within 1 to 10, and in that case you have to use random.randint. Okay, and then give the upper bound and the lower bound. Same for the range, as same as the range uh, range function. Okay, so the lower limit is inclusive, the upper limit is exclusive. So if you give 1 comma 10, you will get a random number from 1 to 9. It will not go to 10. Okay. Now permute, what does it do? It shuffle basically. Okay. It shuffle the words. That's it. The random dot shuffle is it will shuffle the elements of a word, elements of a list. So if the list is 1, 2, 3, 4, after shuffling it can become 2, 3, 1, 4. Okay. So random permutation of the letters in Python. So you can get a combination like ONTHYP, something like this. Okay. Consider the following code snippet. Numbers, they are in a list. New numbers equal to insert 0. So everything gets inserted in the 0th position. So 1 gets inserted in the 0. So basically we are reversing the list. So 1 gets inserted in the 0, 2 gets inserted in the 0. That means 1 gets shifted to 1 index, right? And 2 gets inserted. Now when 3 gets inserted, 1 and 2 get shifted to 1 and like, so the 2 is shifted to 1, 1 is shifted to 2 second index, and the 3 gets inserted in the 0th index. So basically we are reversing the string. Okay. Now consider the following code snippet. What does it do? Whenever a number is divisible by 3 and 5, it prints something. If it is prints fish buzz. Whenever it is only divisible by 3, it prints fish. Whenever it is only divisible by 5, it is printing buzz. Otherwise, it prints the number. So that is what you are supposed to take, find out from the options. Okay. So week 3. See, this is the quiz question. Assignment questions, we'll see. Uh, so you have to write a procedure. So you are given a list of marks that has the marks scored by the class of students in mathematics test. Find the median marks and store it in a float variable median. You can assume marks list for float values. Okay. Procedure to find: sort the marks in ascending order. Do not try to use built-in methods. So that means you are supposed to write the function for sorting. You cannot write sorted then list. Okay, just watch out for these warnings. So if you miss these type of warnings, like, there will be like deductions from your like, even if you have written the code correctly, there will be some deductions. Okay, so how they do that? So they basically search for the sorted function call in the program. Okay, so whenever they will find this sorted bracket, they consider, okay, they have used the inbuilt method. So even if you have defined a function name def sorted, basically you override the sorted function call, then also you will be penalized. Okay, because the codes will be checked in a computerized fashion. Okay, so just name your functions and variable something that is different from the inbuilt methods and keywords. Let's say you can name it as my sorting function or my sorting. Okay, and whenever you pass a list, the list gets sorted. Okay, write the, let's say, any selection sort or any bubble sort, merge sort, anything you can write. Okay, so if the number of students is odd, then the median is the middle value of the sequence. If the number of students is even, then the median is the arithmetic mean of the middle two values. It's very pretty easy, right? So you just compute the length. After sorting, you compute the length. If it is an odd number, so that means it is divisible. It's not divisible by 2. Then you just, let's say the length is 10, then you get the fourth index, which is the middle index, right? Okay. Uh, and if it is not, no, sorry. If it is 10, then there are two indexes, fourth and fifth. Those two you take the arithmetic mean. If it is 11, then the fifth index is middle one. You take the value and output that as a median value. So you do not have to accept input from the console that is already been provided to you. You do not have to print the output up to the console. Input output is the responsibility of the auto generated program. So you have to write the procedure. So write the procedure. Okay, you do not have to take the input. Okay, because these two code will be like these two. Okay, so these two code will be there. So the the evaluating code will like give these values as output as input to your function, and it will expect an output which is equal to the median value. Okay, or I guess they will already write this piece of code in your program, so you have to just fill this code. Okay, now accept a string input, convert it to lowercase, sort the string in alphabetic order, and print the sorted string to console. You can assume strings only contain letters. Now you can compare letters. Okay, so the less than greater than operations are valid for less than greater than less than equal to greater than equal to these operators are valid for letters. You can just use that and like apply any sorting mechanism. So do not use the inbuilt sorted or sorting functions. You can always sort, right? You can always break it to a list and call the sorted function on top of it. It will sort the string. Then after that you join it with the null character. So so empty character dot join that list. But it is better to write your own. So so they can, if they mention that, do not use here, just like here they haven't mentioned, but in the answer they expect that you will loop through all characters and then try to sort them. Okay, so I guess it is what both lowercase, and then if in range 0 to length character equal to I, output string plus equal to character. So this is a wrong code. It doesn't order or sort the string in console. Okay, so this is a wrong code. So you have to do, let's say, selection sort or something like this to sort the string in terms of alphabets or other letters basically. Okay, and you can assume that the string contains all letters. So there is no questions of, let's say, one is less than a or something like this, because those are all characters or those are all letters. Um, you can safely assume that you can compare any letter with any letter with like, and it will not break your code. Okay, program assignment 3. So, so yeah, now here you need to use the date time library or calendar. You are given the dates of birth of two person, not necessarily from the same family. Your task is to find younger of the two. Okay, so you can compare date times directly. Okay, so just cast their dates, their date of birth into date time object, right? So if you don't give this hour, minute, and second, it will consider it as 000. Okay, or you can just have a string called 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2001, 000, something like this, and again for the other one. And if you and so why it is Neha in this case, because these are same, right? If you see okay, now okay, so if both of them shares the same date, then younger of the two is then the younger of the two is assigned to be the person whose name comes first, in alphabetical order. Names will be Python's capitalized case format. Okay, so name them in capitalized format. Okay, also if they share the same date of birth, then print out whichever is first for the alphabetical order. So N comes before P Q R S, M N N M N O P, right? So N comes before P, so you print, yeah, something like this. Otherwise, you go with the date. So you can import date time and directly compare. Okay. Or if you want to compare dates, right? So you can also compare them directly as strings. So this uh, YYYYMMDD. If you have this format, right? YYYYYYYMMDD. Then if you compare them as strings, that's also gives you uh, like less than greater than relationship. Okay, you don't have to compare it, casting it to let's say date time and then compare it. Okay, you can directly like let's say reformat the date or take the date as YYYYMMDD and then compare it as raw strings. That would also give you less than greater than relationships. Or you can anyway go with date time object. Okay, what they have done here. Oh, so they have split the date and then check. This is very, very wrong. So don't do this type of things. Okay. So not wrong in the sense. So it is bad bad code. Okay, so you just write whichever is efficient for you. You can import the date time. If they have mentioned that okay, do not use the date time library, then do not use it. You can go with the this format set YYYYMMDD and just compare them in terms of strings. That would also work. Week 4. Week 4, you are uh, week 4 programming. Yeah, program assignment for week 4. So the first line of input contains the integer n. This is followed by two n lines. Out of this, each of each of the first n lines is sequence of comma separated integers that denotes one row for the matrix. Each of the n lines is sequence of comma separated values which denotes the row of the matrix B. Okay, so these n lines are matrix A, these n lines are matrix B. Okay, and n is what is the dimension for example. So these are square matrices. 3 means it's 3 by 3. Okay, so basically n means n by n, and there are two matrices, so two n lines. Okay, and now what you have to do, the output should again be a sequence of n lines where each line is sequence of comma separated integers that denote row of matrix AB. So you have to compute multiplication and output it. So write the multiplication code for matrix. That's it. Same C logic will also work here. Write a similar like code to compute A times B and then output it. That's it. Okay. Yeah, if they have strictly mentioned that do not use a library, because see the so you can easily compute A times B by just casting everything to a numpy array, right? The normal this multiplication operator would work on that. Okay, so A times B would work. Okay, but because this TCS ions exam interface doesn't have the numpy library installed. So if you think that okay, I can import numpy and just cast or take inputs as numpy arrays and multiply them and print the output, so that would not work. Okay, so that would get an like import error. So you cannot import numpy. Okay, so if you are not sure whether a library is there or not, you can, so there will be a compile or run button there. So you can just import a library and see whether it exists in the system or not. But anyway, so it's better because it's a basic course. It's better to stick to the libraries which comes pre-bundled with any Python distribution, base Python distribution. Okay. So NumPy is something which is for numeric computation, doesn't come with all the variants of Python, all the distributions of Python. So don't expect it to be there in your like exam center, okay, or the software where you will be giving the exam. It's better to go with simple loop-like logic. So loop-like logic to multiply A and B to matrices. Okay, and that's a I guess second semester assignment, C assignment. You can just revisit that. Okay, and the second question is accept a sequence A, this thing, okay. Multiply matrix by an integer S equivalent to multiplying each element by S, okay, okay. The first line of, so you are supposed to do what? First line of input will be N, that denotes dimension of the matrix. And then the second and the third, so the last line gives the S. So you have to multiply all the entries. That's it. So 10, the 2 means it's a 2 by 2 matrix. You input 2 by 2, and then 1000 means it will multiply every element by 1000. So S times A you have to compute. It's very easy. So like N and then 2 loops to take the matrix, then 2 loops to multiply everything with the S. And then you can print it again 2 loops to print the matrix. Okay. And how you would represent this data? You can represent this data in terms of double linked, like double list, right? So list within list. Okay. 2D list basically. Piece of assignment 4. Again, here also you are like expected to see lot of screenshots, and you are supposed to write or guess the output. Okay. So as per our records, sorry, that's not the question. Okay, select the correct statements regarding magic sequence. What is magic sequence? Magic, so magic square, sorry, magic square. Magic square is order 1 trivial. Sum of 2 magic square is magic square. Magic square is a order, magic square of order 2 is not possible. The magic constraint sum of rows, sum of columns, sum of diagonals for 7 cross 7 possible magic sequences is 266. So what is magic square? Let's see. A magic square is an n cross n square with a whole number written inside each cell, so that the sum of the numbers in every row, in every column, and each of the main diagonal is equal. So that means this one. This is 15, this is 15, this is 15. Column wise sum is also 15, and 2 diagonals, these are also 15. Okay, so yeah, so just remember this stuff, that okay, magic square means row wise sum, column wise sum, as well as diagonal wise sum are same. Okay, so see, magic square of order 1 is trivial. That means what? That means order 1 means uh, one element, right? It's trivial, it's always true. So even if you sum row wise, column wise, or diagonal wise, it will be same. Magic square of order 2 is not possible. So that means magic square of order 2 is not possible. So I can have uh, 2 is not possible. I can always have 2, 2, 2, like 3, 3, 3, 3, all values are same, right? Yeah. So short answer, a magic square of 2 does not exist, as it forces all numbers to be equal to maintain the magic constant across rows Yeah, which contradicts the requirements of all numbers in a magic square being different. Okay, so another requirement is the numbers should be different. So what is a magic square? The elements should be different. The row sum should be equal to the column sum equal to the diagonal sum. Okay, now we go to the next question. Okay, depth does something matrix, length of matrix. That means it will, if it is an 2D matrix or 2D list, then you will be getting the row. Now, how many number of rows are there? Okay. Now, if r is equal to 0 or r is not equal to the length of matrix 0, that means if the row is 0, that means the matrix is empty. Or if the matrix is not equal, so length of matrix 0 will give you the number of columns. Okay. So now if the rows are not equal to the columns, return false. So when it will return false? If the matrix is empty or row is not equal to the number of columns. So that basically means the do something functions expects a square matrix. Okay, expected is equal to sum of matrix 0. That means it will sum the first row. Okay, for row in matrix, if row is not equal to expected sum of row, that means if all the return false, that means if all the sums of the rows are not equal to the expected, the first row, then returns a false. That means all the sums of the rows should be same. Okay. Now what is this? For j in range j, some matrix ij for, oh, so that means whether the columns are same. If the columns are not same, then it will return a false. And lastly, if the diagonals. So basically, this do something function computes whether a matrix is a magic square or not. That's it. Okay. And try to see whether, so these all of them, I guess, all not all of them. Yeah, all of them are magic square, I guess. Magic square. That's why all of them are accepted. Okay. So basically this function computes whether a matrix has all rows are having same sum, columns are also having the same sum, and also the diagonals are having the same sum. Okay. Suppose you want to simulate a birthday paradox by generating random birthdays for a group of people. Which library function would you most likely use to create random integers representing birthdays? Random.random would give you what? It will give you this, right? Values from 0 to 1. So it is not a good candidate. Time.time would give you not random numbers. It will give you, let's say, if I run 5 times, it will give me 5 consecutive timestamps. So whenever I'm like writing time.time, it will give me timestamp of this whenever it is running, right? So it doesn't work. So I can use random.randint to generate, let's say, numbers from 0 to, like, let's say, numbers from 2001 to 2005, right? Dates from 0 to 30 and months from 1 to 12, right? And then I can append them to compute to kind of generate a random birthday. Okay, so this is a correct answer. Okay, but see, here they are saying which of the function you are most likely to use. Okay, so you can also use this random, but then you have to figure out some way to handle the fraction part, some way of handling the fraction. So 2.3 to 2.324, right? So you can always use that 3 to 4 or this 2 to be part of your generating random dates. Okay, but anyway, if I am going for the easier part, then it's easier to use random.randint with proper limits, right? So starting value, ending value, I can control. Random for random.random, I cannot control the starting and ending value. Okay, okay, so it is better to use the random.randint to generate, let's say, random values within valid ranges and then concatenate them with, let's say, dash. Okay. So now it's a multiple select question. Which of the following are functions in datetime module of Python? Datetime dot now is there. Datetime dot present, I don't think it is there. Datetime dot today is not. Date dot today is there. So I guess you have to remember this. Date dot now is not there. I remember that. Okay. So this one I was not sure, but anyway, this is I'm sure. So yeah, so try to remember these things. So some functions that are very common. Okay, for example, uh, date time dot time zone function is there, right? Or you can import time zone from date time. So if they ask questions related to time zone, from which library you can import time zone, it will be date time. A time delta, it will be also date time. Okay. Now here, this is something you are supposed to type a value. Okay. So the masked gun game is a simple guessing game where the player attempts to unlock a masked gun by correctly guessing a secret 4-digit code. Arrange the steps in sequence to create a Python code for the game. So now you have to arrange the steps and you have to write the like this number in terms of which steps you should do first. Okay. So what is the game? Uh, Game is a simple guessing game where the player attempts to unlock a masked gun by correctly guessing a 4-digit code. Okay, just the user has to guess the 4-digit code. So the implement the game loop. So game loop is what? That whether I want to retry, that is the game loop. Okay. Display masked gun, that's the ending step, right? Or something that is at the end of the game loop, right? So whenever a particular game session ended, then I only show the displayed gun. Or whenever let's say it it wins the game, the player wins the game, right? It's a generate secret code, that is fine. Provide feedback and manage attempts for guessing. So basically display the correctness of your guess and keep track of the number of attempts you left for guessing. So let's say there are 5 attempts so 5 lines you have. Okay. End game, validate and compare guess with secret code. So first step would be to generate a secret code. Okay. Now validate and compare the secret code. Provide so display the sorry okay, so the first step would be generate the secret code and then display the function, create a function to visually represent the marks done. Okay, so this is basically the starting screen. Generate the secret code, display the masked gun, and then take validate and one. Okay. Anyway, then you are supposed to write the game loop. Okay, then take input, provide feedback if you have, let's say, missed or you have failed guessing the secret code. Okay, and at the end when the attempts ended, you just or let's say you guess the secret code correctly, then the end game ended. So that's how the answer should be 3, 2, 1, 6, 4, 5. Okay, so just see, do not write something like without thinking. Okay, so these type of questions can be tricky. So if you don't think on them properly, then sometimes these orders can get messed up. Okay, so try to give some time whenever you have these type of questions. Then okay, uh, or try to think about the code, what it will do at which time. Okay, and then try to see. I was not considering this game loop. Okay, I can always write this game loop outside everything, right? But that would do what? That would enable this masked gun printed every time I fail, right? So but that's I don't want. I want the masked gun to be displayed once at the top of the game. Okay. So there can be many valid ways of arranging that, but okay, you have to think what is the best way, right? Then only you so basically think on this, think on this. These type of questions you have to think a bit. Okay, if I have, let's say if I have placed the generate secret code or let's say displayed mask gun within the loop itself, then also it doesn't hurt the overall game, but it it is not what the question setter has think. Okay, they have think the most optimal way. Let's say if I place the mask gun on the display at the beginning of the code, that would be what should be the answer. Okay. So to implement a magic square, we use concept of matrices, select all standard statements that are true. So what is a magic square? The rows should be row sum, column sum, and diagonal sum. All of them should be same, right? So one possible implementation of matrices through nested list in Python. Yeah, this is one thing. NumPy is one of the standard libraries associated with implementing matrices. This is also correct. Okay. Now implementation of matrices is only through list of Python, list in Python. None of the above. So these two are correct. So it's a wrong setting, wrong question set. NumPy is a standard library to implement matrices. Okay. And one of the possible implementation is you can use nested list, but it is not the only way you can implement matrices, right? So there are other libraries like Numba, many other libraries by which you can use which you can implement matrices. Okay, CUDA is there. Okay, the Numba library use CUDA backend. Okay, consider the given set of 60 people born in 2000. Run your code using the given data to check the count of people birthdays fall exactly on Tuesdays. So that means you have to, so from that date, you have to compute which which day of week it is, whether it is a Tuesday, Wednesday, something like this. Okay, so you are supposed to write a piece of code, okay, that basically loops to all the persons, generate the date, the weekday. If it is a Tuesday, you just add a counter or increment a counter, print the counter at the end. Okay. Okay. So these type of questions would not be there. Okay, because it is a MCQ and it is one of your assignments. So you have a spare laptop with you, right? Then only you can run these things. But anyway, in that exam, you would not expect this type of code because there will be no spare laptop with you, right? Where you can write a code to, because like doing manually is not an option. You are supposed to write a code, but where you will write it, right? So these type of questions will not be there. But yeah, that these type of questions can be asked in the programming question. That okay, print the number of times a person is born on Tuesdays. Similar code, just at the end of the program, you are supposed to print that counter. Okay. So what is the output of the following code snippet? Uh, what is the output? Okay, L. If L equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, L 1, comma 3 is the list 2, comma 3, slicing is first very similar. All rules that have learned by string slicing apply to list slicing. Fine. If P equal to Q equal to A, then P plus Q. So this is concatenation. So okay, so they have used string slicing and concatenation. You are supposed to dry run this on your head and give the output. These type of questions can also come. Okay, so what you can do, this L is what? L is this, right? Length of L is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the outer loop will run 6 times and the inner loop will run 1 time. So that means total it runs 6 times. So just 6 times do this computation. If the flag is true, then S will be appended and then at the end S will be printed. and it is only appending, right? So L0 would be always 90. Oh, sorry, append Li uh, is equal to this. Oh, so S is changed here. Here S is modified. See, S is equal to before J plus new J plus after J. So it's so that guess is incorrect. Okay, so the S is getting modified. So sometime it may happen. Okay, for when this condition is true, if Li is less than Lj, then the S is getting replaced. So sometimes this 90 can be replaced with some other value. Okay, so it can, so the here the accepted answer is this. You have to dry run it, take your time, dry run it and see. So try to see here 90 the first run you will see okay it is 7. Now the second loop you will see okay it is 8. Now it is done. So don't go beyond that. So try going with elimination method, that whenever you found let's say two elements, all the other three would be null. Or let's say if the 7 and 8 is also same, then go with the third element. Whenever you find a unique match, stop there. Okay. Now what does this random choice do? Random choice gives you a, let's say, from a list it will choose a particular random element and give you that. Okay, selects a random element from a sequence, anything from a list or from a string or from a tuple, anything sequence you give, it will give you a particular element randomly chosen from the sequence. And you identify the magic square from the following. So magic square you already know that, and it's a multiple select questions, so there can be multiple right answers. Okay, so don't stop after finding one correct answer. Okay, multiple select questions can be, can have multiple right options. Okay, that's why it's a multiple select question. So you know what a magic square is. Row, column and diagonal should be same. Just try to find out which matrices are like having that. And one thing is there, beyond these three constraints, another constraint is the elements should be different. Okay, so yeah, so if all the elements should be unique. Okay, so or different from each other, and then if say for these two matches that constant, and we just have them as outputs. Like week 4, week 5. So we'll quiz of week 5. Yeah, so imagine the Monte Hall problem had 4 doors instead of 3. Okay, and M- Monty opened one door to reveal a goat after your initial choice. What would be the probability of winning the car by switching? So let's see what is Monty Hall problem. Monty Hall problem is a brain teaser, okay, brain teaser in form of probability puzzle. Basically, okay, so what is it? First choice is, so yeah, this is the tree. Okay, so so first choice here, it is a goat. Okay, now after the switch, you win or you lose. So it should be 1/2. Also, if you switch, it is always win. So it will be, let's see, is the output 3/4. That is 3. Oh, okay. Sorry. Uh, at 4 door instead of 3. So the is the second choice. Okay, so the tree would be different. Okay, so there are four doors instead of three. So there are three possibilities at the, yeah, so there are three possibilities. Okay, should be 2 by 3. Should, oh, switch would be also changing. Um, Anyway, you just do the math here. So it is saying what? It is saying that there are, instead of three doors, there are four doors. One door you have chosen at the beginning. Okay, and then and it's a base theorem question. That's it. Okay, so you have chosen one. Let's say first door, and then Monty says, okay, the second door is a goat. Now, what is the probability of winning given you switch? So you switch to door 3, let's say. So here they're saying it is 3 out of 4 times. So yeah, so just cross check it once. Okay. These are standard probability questions. So what happens if you try to add new key value pair to a dictionary using a key that already exists in the dictionary? It doesn't raise any error, it overwrites the value, right? See, the new value overrides the existing value. That's it. So the extended version of rock paper scissors with lizard and spoke has popularized by TV show Big Bang Theory. Here are the rules of rock paper scissors. Okay, rock paper scissors. Okay, these are the all possible rules. Okay, each option can defeat two other options, lose two other options, draw with one other option. Okay. Now the major steps involved in recording by coding rock paper scissors, the game discussed in lecture. Okay, sorry, code. Okay, assigning values to choice. So this is something like you are supposed to read. Okay, assigning values to the choices. The algorithm involves assigning numerical values to rock, paper, and scissors choice. One for rock, two for paper, three for scissors. Okay, this is how you should implement rock paper scissors. Okay, what would be possible change in steps for running rock paper scissors lizard and spoke? Step one would involve assigning 5 values to choice of instead of three. Okay, the bitwise operator involved step three would involve module operator with 5 instead of 3. Okay, none of the all of the above. This is this is incorrect. There is no step involve module operation anyway. So giving unique 5 values for the 5 choices would be a step, but this is I am confused. Okay, so whether a module operator would be appropriate. So what is the logic is that each option is winning against two and losing against two. That's what it is, right? Each option can defeat two other options, lose to two other options, and draw with another option. How many options are there? One, two, rock, paper, scissors. So 5 options. Oh yeah. So it is like rock can give like rock can be drawn with rock, right? So rock will be draw with only rock. Scissors will be draw with only scissor. Okay, that's why the third option came. Anyway, I had to recheck this bitwise operator. The bitwise operator in step 3 would involve module operator with 5 instead of 3. I have to check this. Okay. But you get the idea, right? These type of questions can also come. Okay, something is taught in your the actual course material, and then you have to somehow modify or add some functionality to that code. What will be the changes? Okay. How does bubble sort compare elements in an array? Adjacent element and swap, right? So it compare the adjacent elements and tries to swap them. Whenever let's say some element is, so let's say if I am sorting in an ascending order, so the swap will only happen if the left element is bigger than the right element, right? So that the left element moves to the right side. So it's an ascending sort. Descending sort is similar, but the logic will be opposite. So it will only swap when the left side element is less than the right side element. Okay. How many passes bubble sort would make through an array in worst case n square? Oh, sorry. How many passes does bubble sort make through the array in worst case scenario for sorting n elements? It is bubble sort takes n square. This is wrong. Okay. These are wrong question sets.
Yeah, is this the last session?
No, 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 no. There will be another session where, so that's an extra session
We
at scheduled in 20. Okay. 20 October. And
oh,
there we will discuss the remaining 6 to 12. And see, these questions are pretty standard. So I guess whatever questions we have done in our live sessions also, right? Those are also similar type of questions is are there. So the expectations that you can have for your exam is there will be lot of screenshots and you are supposed to predict their outputs. Okay. Uh, there will be lot of multiple choice questions, multiple select questions, as well as you have to write piece of code and without using external libraries like NumPy, Pandas, all those things. Okay. And try to remember the libraries like date, time, date, calendar, time. These libraries you practice a bit that what are the most common functions like casting a casting a string to date, comparing dates, getting the exact weekday, Tuesday, Monday, these type of information from the weeks, whether it's a leap year, what is the time difference between two time instance time, like date times, these random numbers. So you are supposed to generate random numbers from let's say 20 to 30, right? How to generate random numbers from 20 to 30, how to choose a number from a list of numbers, these type of things you practice because they will come. So and there will be like no auto completer on those things. It is better to remember them. So how many pair of adjacent elements are compared in single pass of bubble sort? Pair of in a single pass, that is n minus 1. Okay. This is n square. It's incorrect. This is n minus 1. Okay. So this is correct. And this is what I guess bubble sort code is. Oh no, no, it's binary sorts. So binary sorts means you sort the array, you take the mid, okay, and try to see whether like the number you have is less than the mid, then you try to search it from 0 to mid. Otherwise, if it is greater than the mid element, you try to search it in mid to end, and then you do it recursively, right, until you have a match. So an example would be like, uh, so I've given this example, I guess, in my sessions that let's say I'm trying to search your guess, and you are supposed to give me answers like whether my guess is less than or greater than, right? So what I will do, I will always pick the, so let's say the range is 0 to 100. So I will always pick the middle value and ask you that whether it is greater than or less than. If it is greater than, I will ask you the middle value from 50 to 100, or if it is less than, then I'll ask you value from 1 to 50, right? And I'll do it recursively. As I progress, let's say I will, let's say, narrow down to the guess or to the value that you have assumed. Okay. And to find a value from a range, let's say n, the time complexity for this is log n. Okay. So if it is 100 values, so you can expect to find the value within log n hits. So log n tries you, so log n failures basically. At log n time, you will find the value if it is there. So if it is not there, after log n time, you can just quit and say, okay, the element is not present. Okay. For example, here So they are saying which steps would require modification if array are sorted in descending order. So descending order means if it is ascending order, then you take from mid to end if it is greater than, right? Similarly, if it is descending order, then you take if the value is greater, then you take 0 to mid. That is the change. Here, by reading this, you can say it's step 2 and step 4. Okay. Mm. Select correct statement among the following. Okay, anyway, so in presence of duplicate element in list, binary search always finds the first occurrence. Yeah, it's correct. Okay. So it may not be correct. Okay, it is based on how many elements are there, whether it's even or odd. Okay, so it may not find the first element. If the mid value is somehow computed to be the next occurrence, that would be found first. So linear search always give you the first occurrence, but binary search may give you the first occurrence, may not. Okay, in presence of duplicate, the list uh, in presence of duplicate element in a list, the existing binary search algorithm with minor modifications can be used to find first occurrence of the target element in the list. Okay, in the presence of duplicate element in a list, the existing binary search can be used to find the kth. K can be number from 1 to number of times the element can represent target in the list. So how you can modify if it is the first occurrence? Uh, um, so if you found, so there can the modification could be like this, right? If you found a number and that is repeated multiple times, then you can just, because it is a sorted, you can just take uh, the number before it. So wherever the number first occurs, that number you can take. So there will be a very small modification at the end of the whole code, right? Whenever a function, whenever a particular number is repeated multiple times, right? You can just go back and take the first occurrence. You can also take this, but it will increase the time complexity, right? You can always find any kth occurrence, but then you have to like at worst you have to see the all the numbers are same. Then at worst you have to go for O of n. So the time complexity will increase in this case. Okay. If it is like if the kth is variable. Anyway, so you have to take somehow think on this. I am not sure whether this would increase the complexity or not, right? So let's assume that uh, most of the values are same. Okay. In that case also, to find the first occurrence, you have to traverse the whole. So let's say it is 10 times 2 and then 3, right? And I am searching 2. Then also uh, it has to traverse n by 2 times if I have to go for the first occurrence at the end. Okay. So I am not sure whether how if this is true, this is also true. But both of them have the potential to increase the time complexity. Okay. Now last question. Okay. Swapping swapping of two numbers is an intermediate step in sorting algorithm. In the lecture, we use a temporary variable to swap variables. Can we swap two numbers by done without without temporal variables? It is very easy, right? A equal to a plus b, b is equal to a minus b, a is equal to a minus b. That is how you swap two numbers without any temporary variables. Okay. Or in Python, it is like still like easier than this, right? In C logic, that is how you do it. But in Python, you can just use a tuple. A comma b is equal to b comma a. Okay. So we have until week 5. week 6 to week 12, we'll do it in the next session. And so till now, I guess you have seen that most of the questions are pretty basic. You have to think and then write. Code snippets are also easy. Okay, you don't have to rush them. You just wait, think. Okay, this is what would be the output, and then verify and then check. Okay, and for multiple select questions, be very cautious that multiple answers can be correct. Okay, and most of the times multiple answers will be correct. That's why it's multiple select question. But there can be instances where one answer is correct. So don't rush. Okay. Okay, so we'll go for the 6th to 12th week for in the next session, which is scheduled, which will be scheduled on 20th October. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.